All righty, getting the picks going here tonight. First one on deck is going to be Indiana at Northwestern. So Northwestern favored in this one, as they should be. I'm taking the Wildcats here for this pick. Of course, we still have injuries from Renault and Tucker here of Indiana. Coach Woodson was interviewed earlier in the week, does not feel confident, really, based on his language. Was trying to read through the lines of what they have going on. On the other side, really liking what Northwestern's playing right now. They would not be in the tournament if it started today, but a team that's picking up steam should have beat Michigan this weekend. Martinelli and the boys, if they can make some free throws tonight, take care of business. I like Northwestern coming through, getting an important conference victory here to try to work themselves into that tournament conversation. All right, next pick'em game, we're going to head on over to Texas. Texas Christian University hosting number 12 Kansas. Should be a fun one here tonight. TCU coming off a big win against Baylor. Emotional contest as Kansas comes off that Kansas State game, the big rivalry game there at home. So KJ is still injured. KJ Adams here for Kansas. And a little bit of a trap game here coming up. You've got Houston coming up this weekend back at home, so that's obviously going to be massive. They're fighting for the conference lead right now. I think the Jayhawks are a game back of Houston. That's going to be really impactful. TCU showing that they're on the upswing. It's got the feeling of a trap game. They're at home. I'm liking the Horned Frogs for a little midweek upset special of number 12, Kansas. Next game, pick on the slate. It's going to be Xavier on the road. So careful with the road teams here. Going to be traveling to St. John's. So big underdog. I think the number's at 7.5 in favor of St. John's. But you got to be careful. St. John's newly into the rankings. The plus 20 curse has been brutal. Even going back to this past week, you saw Baylor in at 24 and UGA. They were 20s as well. Both of those teams losing at home to tough contests, and so they got the boot. I'm worried about that for St. John's. I know they're good defensively, but so is Xavier. Xavier really been picking up steam. Solid squad that I like with Coach Miller, a team that's on the outside looking in if the tournament started today, but they're picking up heat in January, getting right when you need to get right. So I got to rock with the Musketeers here on a little midweek conference contest. All right, it's a Wednesday. You've got disposable income. Let's lose some money for some more picks here. At number 5, Florida on the road at South Carolina. Florida up front, team I'm not rocking with right now. I've got the FSU bias, but putting that aside, they've been kind of weird ever since that win against number 1 Tennessee. They took them down, and you kind of seen some up and down play. You had the loss versus Missouri, and they struggled early against Texas, missed 9 of their first 10 shots, and it's a team that I'm really kind of inconsistent about. They're going through a little midseason slump. I don't necessarily think that they won't be a formidable team come down the stretch, but I'm liking the other side, what we have here. I know Jamar Thomas is still out here for South Carolina, but with all the weird stuff going with the assistant coach and the sexual misconduct, I'm not vibing with the Gators right now. Trouble on the seas. Give me South Carolina, big underdog tonight. FSU over in California. The Noles were able to dodge the snow and get out west for a 2-game set. This one going against California, coming in at 12th in the ACC, but they've got one of the leading scorers in the conference, Stojakovic, who's averaging, I think, over 19, just shy of 20 points per game. He's been in a little bit of a slump. He had trouble with UNC and NC State, I think just averaging 8 points per game in those 2 contests. And they're a team that's got some depth. They love to pressure the ball. They're not afraid to get out and run in transition. You know, a lot of the things that you talk about with FSU. FSU's really kind of coming together, an opportunity for them in their next 3 games to really jump into that second, third tier of the ACC and make a case for them as a tournament team. I like FSU on the road, Ewan and Bo Bolin. I'm looking for them to keep it going, and the Noles steal one out west against the Golden Bears. All right, last prediction of the night, last but not least, Texas A&M traveling to Ole Miss. So Texas A&M theme of the night is underdog, but of course still 2 big contests. Obviously, you talk about big players in big contests, and that's Wade Taylor, the 4th back from injury, should be his 2nd game back. So I'm liking them against Ole Miss, who's got problems, inconsistency. it seems, especially with the rebounds. I'm liking the advantage and the aggressiveness from Texas and A&M, even though they're on the road, even though they're the underdog, to go in and get it against Coach Smith. I like what Coach Buzz does and usually has his guys up for the challenge to often get it rocking. And so for that reason, we're going Texas A&M getting it against Ole Miss on the road tonight.